Today we are doing the most iconic backpacker job in New Zealand. We are going to be working in the kiwifruit industry.
Previously on New Zealand's Biggest Gap Year, day 322, part 1, we took you to Te Puke, which is the kiwifruit capital of New Zealand, and we joined a bunch of backpackers in kiwifruit picking. It was an awesome experience and we got to see where the kiwifruits are coming from, but we are not done just yet. Today we're going to be showing you where they're going. If you guys don't want to miss out on anything that's happened on New Zealand's Biggest Gap Year, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our notification squad so you get an update every single time we post an awesome video.
This afternoon, after doing the kiwifruit picking, we are heading on to the next stage of the kiwifruits journey and a popular backpacker job in New Zealand, which is working in a kiwifruit packhouse. We are heading to Hukapak, which is the largest kiwifruit producer in New Zealand and Australia, and it's the perfect place to learn more about kiwifruit packing.
Alright, so we're gonna go through a few different jobs while staying in Hukapak today. And the first thing that we're doing is joining Justin and his team in tray making. This is pretty simple and self-explanatory. Basically, this machine is making the trays in which the kiwifruits are gonna be shipped overseas. It's a pretty cool system when one person is on one side of the machine loading the different components of the trays into the machine, and then the machine is making the tray itself and the other person on the back is making piles of trays ready for the next stage of the processing. A little bit like we did this morning, we actually get a chance to try this job ourselves, and oh my god, you have to actually get an amazingly quick rhythm because the machine is using those little tray parts very quickly and you need to reload it at a super fast pace. Those two girls working here definitely have the rhythm and they are actually producing boxes super fast. I'm actually really impressed how quickly the rhythm is going, and Laura and I have a really hard time catching up with them. To be fair, both of the girls which are working here right now told us that they were struggling at the beginning as well, but within about one day you actually get the rhythm and start working super fast. And you need to work really fast when doing this kind of job because you are paid per tray that you are making. That's right, this job is paid a little bit like we talked about yesterday about the kiwifruit picking, per piece. So that means that every single tray that they're making, they're getting paid for it. But don't worry, even if you are a little bit slow during your first couple of days, you will still always be paid minimum wage because that's in New Zealand law. But the girls right now got a really good rhythm going on and their current rate per hour is $32.64. That's pretty good on New Zealand standards.
Continuing following the journey of the kiwifruit that we picked this morning and loaded into bins, the bins are then taken to this stage of the packhouse where they are then tipped onto this large conveyor belt.
Based on our schedule, we say there's 175 for that grower.
Yeah.
So on the computer, you'll say, yep, 175 tipped, then we know everything's tipped.
Ah, okay.
So there's nothing left behind, we're not short, and we didn't give the wrong guy the wrong fruit.
Because you have to pay them back, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
For backpackers looking for seasonal work, which is pretty easy to get into, the Kiwifruit Packhouse is the perfect place. There's so many different components and aspects to the Kiwifruit Packhouse, and each component needs workers for it. For instance, we're at the tipping section right here where each bin from each grower around the area is tipped one by one into this huge conveyor belt where it is then getting onto the next section to be graded, and the workers here are doing quality control.
There's different qualities, grade 1, grade 2, class 3, rejects, undersized, things like that.
And then just go in a different place, or?
Yeah, different place.
We're now moving on to the grading section of the Kiwifruit Packhouse, which, to be honest, it doesn't require workers, it is all done by machines. This machine is not only weighing the kiwi fruit, but also taking pictures for consistency, determining where they need to go to be packed and then to be shipped overseas.
Separate class 1 and class 2 fruit.
Yes.
And then it will go over onto the machine, the packing machine. On this side we make up the boxes, we put flixers or wrappers or whatever in. It goes in underneath the machine. The fruit there drops, and then the box and the fruit come together, and you'll see that when we get on that side.
Cool.
This is the tray prep area. That's the grading, and then the packing is on that side.
Sweet.
It's quite fascinating to see this massive factory in action. I for one had no idea what kind of journey the Kiwifruit were going through before being packed and sent to my local supermarket. But we're already moving on to the next section of our tour, which is the actual packing stage, and this is where most backpackers will find a job when working in a pack house.
So I've got bird lime on.
Oh yeah?
Bird. Got dark spots. That there's sunburn. Hayward.
The speed at which this worker is picking up all the reject is amazing.
Well, this one can be eaten right now.
Yeah.
So why are you throwing it out?
Because it's going to sit in a box.
Oh
We
yeah.
pack it in a box. It's going to be 6 weeks before it reaches the market.
6 weeks.
If it goes today, 6 weeks on the boat to Europe.
So where it's not for New Zealand market?
No.
Oh, where is it going? Europe or?
Europe or Malaysia or Asia.
Okay.
So depending on where it goes, some of it will sit in the cool stores up until the end of November.
Oh wow.
But before we try our hand at actually packing kiwifruit, we want to check out where are the trays that we were making a little bit earlier on. And turns out that this process as well is really robotic.
It gets a little label on, and then as soon as there's an open space, it'll let a box in and push it in.
This giant factory floor with robots and kiwifruits and boxes everywhere is an entire synergy of backpackers and machine. It's quite amazing to actually walk around there, but there is still more steps into the kiwifruit life before it gets packed, so we are moving on to the next stage.
There's weigh cells over there.
Yeah.
So each piece of fruit is weighed, and then depending on the weight, it's determined which label it's going to get. A first label or a second label. And based on that, it's also going to determine where it's going to drop. So you've got different sizes, 30s, 22s, 27s, 36s, 42s. So based on
So that's millimeters or that's
weight.
Weight, okay, yeah.
This section right here is where we get to watch the mesmerizing sticker machine putting a sticker on every single kiwi fruit before the kiwi fruit is then divided into different sections depending on their different grades. And different grades go to different packers, and packers are a combination of both people packing by hand, but there's a few really awesome machines which do the packing as well. There are 3 different ways that the kiwi fruit are packed in this Kiwifruit Packhouse, and the first way that we're checking out is by this huge machine which takes the kiwi fruit that are not quite ripened yet, so they're sturdier and they can be thrown around a little bit, and they bulk pack them into these boxes. How mesmerizing is it to watch this conveyor belt run? But once they are packed in there, it goes onto this conveyor belt where someone is waiting at the other end to fold up the package and put it onto a forklift to then be put into the cool store. There's another way of packing though, which is for golden kiwi fruit, which are a lot more fragile, and that's with this crazy suction machine. It uses this laser technology to align with the kiwi fruit and pick it up one by one and place it perfectly into the trays. This machine is that careful that it could be picking up eggs without breaking them whatsoever. And finally, the third way that kiwi fruit are packed, and the majority of the kiwi fruit are packed here, is by humans, by hand, by backpackers that are working here for the kiwi fruit season.
And by the way, if you guys are wondering, the kiwifruit season usually lasts between March and November, and this is when the bulk of the kiwifruit industry job can be found. So if you guys are planning your trip, make sure that you plan yourself to have some working time around this time of the year. I have to be honest, packing kiwifruit is actually quite a stressful job. The kiwifruits are arriving really quickly onto the conveyor belt, and we are actually on one of the slowest conveyor belts. Different conveyor belts have different speed depending on, well, the type of grade of kiwifruit that it has. Remuneration wise though, this is one of the least stressful jobs. You don't have to stress too much about how much you're producing. Those jobs are usually paid minimum wage if it's your first season. If it's your second or third season, you usually are paid a much higher rate, which can go up to $20 per hour. So we really hoped doing those 2-part episodes to show you the wealth of job that there is in the kiwifruit industry, but we wouldn't live without showing you massive storeroom that contains more kiwis than New Zealand itself.
There's quite a few kiwi fruit behind us, just a few.
But we are not leaving Tauranga. Tomorrow we are going to be doing something pretty awesome. We are going to be doing some stand-up paddleboarding around Mount Maunganui itself. So join us then.